The following Fox 4 sports presentation is brought to you by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Chevy drives Texas.
The letters LSU never came out of anybody's mouth these entire 9 months.
My only hope is that you know that when I played, I did the best for my teammates, for this uniform, and for all of you.
Justin Verlander, another exclamation point in a Hall of Fame career.
The Cowboys preseason is finally over, and the question now, will Zeke Elliott's holdout soon end as well? I'm Mike Doocy. Welcome to Sports Sunday. Calvin Watkins, who covers the Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News, in studio with me here in a moment. We discuss reports that say the Elliott talks have heated up. When will a deal get done? And if it does get done, how effective can he be in Week 1? That plus some thoughts on the moves made on roster cutdown day. And Sunday night college football as the Oklahoma Sooners are tested by Houston on opening night. But first, some reports are saying the Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott could have a new contract extension in place by the end of this holiday weekend. ESPN, the first to report that the talks had heated up. This just hours after Jerry Jones had indicated he was prepared to start the season without Zeke. But as Jerry has repeatedly said, deadlines make deals, and the first critical deadline in this negotiation is now upon us. It is game week, the season opener against the Giants 1 week from today. Even though he has 2 years left in his deal, Elliott began his holdout July 25th, missed the entire preseason. He wants to surpass Todd Gurley as the game's highest paid running back. Gurley signed a 4-year deal worth $57.5 million with $22 million guaranteed. Here's a busy man, Calvin Watkins, one of the team of Cowboys beat writers for the Dallas Morning News. Well, Calvin, I thought this thing would be done long before now. I've been wrong every step of the way on this, but update us as to what you know right now regarding the Zeke negotiations with the Cowboys.
Well, they've started talking again. They didn't talk today, but this past, I'd say Saturday and a little bit of Friday, they got to the table. They're talking again. Now, some people will say things are getting close. Other people will say we're progressing. So I think the most positive thing you can take out of this is that they're having serious discussions. The last time they had serious discussions was like July 25th. So we're getting close.
Are you surprised, too, that it's come right down to the nitty-gritty on this deal, that we've hit the week where the real football begins and this thing still isn't done?
As you said, Jerry Jones said deadlines make deals. So Week 1's coming up. They had to make the roster cuts on Saturday. They had to do the practice squad things today. So you know what? We got to put our roster together with Zeke Elliott. So no, it doesn't really surprise me. Zeke's been working out in Cabo. He seems to be in great shape from everyone that's been telling me. So here we are.
What does your gut tell you? Will he be in uniform a week from today against the Giants?
After talking to Jerry after that final preseason game, I would say no. Because Jerry gave the indication that, hey, we'll be okay without him. We'll see him. It's a marathon. The season's a marathon. It's not a sprint, as long as we have him for the playoffs. And then this weekend, when talks have heated up, I'm like, well, maybe he will be here for the Giants. But to answer your question, yes, I think he'll be here for the Giants.
And I agree with that. But Jerry's public comments have really been interesting. He's been very disciplined by Jerry standards in the way he has dealt with the media. Mm-hmm. He's wanted a certain message to get out there, and he's made sure that it's gotten out there.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, someone had asked him, is this all conjecture or are you really sending the message? He said everything. When we asked him, where's Zeke at? Zeke who? Is Zeke better off in Hawaii or Cabo? It's wet in both places. He's having fun with this. And he said, I reserve the right to have fun with Ezekiel Elliott because I've supported him through his suspension and for investigations, the whole deal. So Jerry's used to this because remember, Emmitt Smith held out for the first 2 games back in '93. They were able to get a deal done. So Jerry's used to these kind of things.
Let's say they get it done in time for Zeke to be on the field against the Giants a week from today. We keep hearing from certain people, he can miss the preseason. It's no big deal. How effective can he be, though, having missed all of this camp, every preseason game. How effective can he be right out of the gate if he does come back, say tomorrow or Tuesday, and then starts on Sunday?
Well, say he comes Monday afternoon. Say we get this done Monday afternoon. I think he'll play a little bit against the Giants. Now, they have this guy named Tony Pollard, who they really love, and they have Alfred Morris. So they'll be okay in terms of running the ball. But week 2, when we go to Washington, that's where you'll see the Ezekiel Elliott, who's the NFL's rushing champion.
And just one more thing on the negotiations. Obviously, Zeke and his agents want to be able to say that he's the highest paid running back.
Oh, no
You
doubt.
think it's just coming down to that language, and that can be interpreted in a number of different ways. I mean, if he gets 1 penny more in guaranteed money than Todd Gurley, then he can argue, I'm the highest paid running back in the league.
I think they want more than a penny.
You think? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
That's why I'm a terrible negotiator.
Oh, yeah, they want more than, Gurley's. Stephen Jones said this back in February. He said Todd Gurley set the standard for guaranteed money, which was $45 million. Then Le'Veon Bell signed a contract with the Jets for about 30 to 32 million guarantees, depending on how you do the math. So now, Stephen Jones feels like everything has moved down a little bit in terms of what to pay Zeke. Zeke's people are like, no, it's still Todd Gurley, and we want more than $45 million and $45 million and 1 cent. They want maybe 55, 60 million in guaranteed money. So yeah, that's the holdup right there.
All right, you talk about Pollard, and he's been a preseason superstar. We've seen a lot of those through the years and haven't heard much from him after the preseason. He would be the starter in Zeke's absence, but I'm interested in how they'll use Pollard even when Zeke does come back. What do you think?
I think Zeke is obviously the every down guy, but it wouldn't surprise me that on a couple of series they take Zeke out and they put Tony Pollard in there. Pollard can catch the ball out of the backfield. They can do that with him, especially on the 3rd down play. He's getting better in pass protection, but I think when it comes down to it, late in the 4th quarter, you're going to see Zeke Elliott on the field. Now, it was interesting that Jerry Jones said he wouldn't mind seeing Zeke and Tony Pollard on the field at the same time. So I think you'll see a lot of that in the middle part of the game, but when the game's on the line, expect to see 21.
Yeah, we'll see how creative Kellen Moore really is in his first year, now that he has supposedly another weapon at his disposal. Zeke's deal, of course, has dominated the news, dominated the headlines. Haven't heard much about Dak Prescott and talks about a new contract for the Cowboys quarterback. Where do you think that stands right now?
Nowhere, because they're trying to get 21 in camp. But I am surprised that they haven't taken care of Dak. I remember we had asked Dak during training camp in Oxnard, hey, are you worried about getting this done? He's like, no, I'll be okay by the time the season starts. And when he said that, I thought, oh, they'll take care of Dak before week 1. Nobody in the NFL, in terms of at his position, is getting a new contract right now. Russell Wilson got his. Carson Wentz got his contract. So we kind of know what the market is. I think the Cowboys are a little distracted because they got to get their running back in camp. And then once they take care of Zeke, I think they'll go to Dak and obviously Amari Cooper, who's also in line for a new deal.
We talk about leverage in these negotiations. You talk about the guy who has the ultimate leverage. If he would have held out, would have been Dak Prescott. But quarterbacks tend not to do that. There's like a different expectation, a different standard there.
Yeah, you're the CEO. I mean, you're the face of the franchise in a sense. So, but yes, if Dak had held out, I think this has been done in like 2 days.
The reviews on Dak have been good in this preseason. What have you seen that you think has been the most impressive improvement in his game?
I think he's moving in the pocket a lot better. One of the things he wanted to work on in the offseason is footwork. I think he's got a little bit leaner because Kellen Moore wants to move the pocket, and he also wants to do those RPOs, run pass options. So if Zeke doesn't get the ball, it's going to be Dak's going to be running down the field. So he's got to get his footwork in order. Quarterback coach John Kitten has really worked with Prescott in terms of improving that part of his game.
Morning News reporting that they're bringing in another veteran quarterback. Does it sound like, is it a practice squad situation there?
Yeah, he's a practice squad guy. I mean, they had interest in quite a few quarterbacks. Your boy Paxton Lynch had internal discussions about him. But at the end of the day, they said, you know what, we need a practice squad guy more than anything. I think this also is a message to Cooper Rush, who is the current #2 guy, because he struggled last year. And this year, he was under the gun because Mike White was chasing him a little bit, and Mike White regressed. So I think the Cowboys are saying we're going to keep a lot of competition at the quarterback spot.
As we look at some of the Cowboys who were released on Saturday, any real surprises in terms, not necessarily just these guys, but other guys who were let go or others who were retained?
You know, the defensive backs, it was tough decisions. They had about 10 to 11 guys that really could have made this roster. I think they kept 10. Donovan Olumbo was somebody they released. They really liked him. He had a really strong camp. I think they really wish they could have got him on the 53, but they brought him back to the practice squad, so that's a good thing. But the DBs, that was some tough decisions they had to make.
It's amazing how quickly things can change. I remember all the reporters running to Darius Jackson after the very first walkthrough at training camp, because he technically was the starting running back for the first practice of training camp.
Well, he was. I mean, we thought he's going to be the #1 guy, but we figured they get this thing done with Zeke. And then Tony Pollard's like the #1 guy, like 3 days in the camp, like, who's this guy, you know, from Memphis? And he hardly talks or anything, but he's a good kid. He's a good running back. But, hey, that's how things happen in the NFL.
See if he can catch on somewhere else. This defense forced some turnovers in the preseason. It is just the preseason. But how much better will this unit be this year than it was last year, do you think?
It should be better.
It was already pretty good last year.
You know, it was. I think they upgraded the pass rush. Now, we're not going to see him until week 3, but Robert Quinn is definitely an upgrade in terms of backup defensive ends. I think Tyrone Crawford is healthy. Our guy, DeMarcus Lawrence, he's finally healthy after the torn labrum surgery. Internally, Malik Collins is finally healthy. He had the first 3 years of his career where he was battling a foot or a knee or a hip injury, and now he's healthy. So the pass rush, I think, is going to be so much better this year. They like Dorrance Armstrong, the guy they drafted last year. He's looked really good in training camp. And, of course, Taco Charlton had a really good preseason. And they kept him. That was a guy I thought they could trade or maybe cut, but they kept him because he played well. He deserved to be on 53.
All right. I know you've got a special section in the paper coming out Thursday. Is that right?
Thursday,
so you probably have your
Thursday.
official predictions then. I'm going to ask you for one right now, or at least ballpark, in terms of the number of wins this Cowboy team will have this year.
I had to predict every game for a special section.
Yeah, you guys don't mess around.
We don't mess around. So I got them with 11 wins. 11 wins with a 3-0 start. They're going to struggle down the stretch because they got some tough games down there, but they should win 11 games and win the division.
Yeah, 3-0 start, and people have said that's possible even without Zeke, because Giants at home, 3:25 a week from today on Fox. First 3 games are all on Fox. Washington on the road in week 2, Miami at home in week 3. We'll see if Zeke is around for the fun. Calvin Watkins, thanks a lot for coming in on a busy Sunday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you. We continue here. An emotional opener at the Sun Bowl in El Paso Saturday. UTEP beat Houston Baptist 36-34 on a night when the Miners paid tribute to the late Luke Laufenberg. The son of the Cowboys broadcaster was a tight end at UTEP. Luke died last week after a long and brave battle with cancer. Luke's dad and his brother Joe Willie on hand. 34,000 others as well there for a game that carried with it so much meaning.
He felt a special bond here, being at UTEP and being in this community, and it was from the get-go. So it was fantastic, and the coaching staff here, the university, everybody has been so supportive. The fans, even as we walked the stadium today, they've been so supportive, and even being around the city today, people recognize you from your Cowboys duties, and everybody just saying sorry for your loss and we're with you. So it's been very, very heartwarming for us.
He is our brother. We just wanted to honor him however we could, and we knew when we were going out there we were going to get this win for Luke, obviously. But 22 victims of the El Paso shooting, and a night like this to come and honor them, like, what a better time to just go out there and give your all. Like, at the end of the day, it's just football, right? 22 people lost their lives here. Luke lost his life. He would give anything to be out here.